This is Snow King Mountain in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, home of the 15th Annual World Championship Snowmobile Hill Climb. Hello, everyone. I'm Laura Nancaro. And over 200 snowmobilers have come here this weekend with only one thing in mind: to get to the top of that mountain as quickly as they can.
Too damn dangerous for me.
I like to see them tumble, yeah.
Drivers and spectators from all over the U.S. and as far away as Canada have descended in droves upon this scenic western town. They're here to witness the thrills and the spills of the biggest and the best snowmobile hill climb in the world. And believe me, if you've never seen a hill climb before, you're in for lots of action and plenty of spectacular crashes.
We gotta look for the bonsai people. Those are the guys that are gonna make it today.
Over the next 3 days, drivers in both stock and modified classes of snowmobile will tackle Snow King Mountain. Won't be easy. The race course is laid out on an expert ski run that's packed with moguls. It takes the sleds over a 4,000-foot course with an uphill angle of between 30 and 40 degrees and a gain in elevation of over 1,000 feet. The stock machines barely make it halfway up this monstrous mountain. Only the most powerful modified sleds and the best drivers ever make it to the top.
I like watching the machines fall to pieces.
This is the 15th year of the hill climb here in Jackson Hole, and believe it or not, for the first 11 years of the event, no one made it to the top of Snow King Mountain. Dan Ward of the Jackson Hole Snow Devils helped to get the event started.
15 years ago we started. It was just a fun event between Jackson riders and guys from Pinedale, Wyoming. We all got together and had a challenge on see who could climb the mountain, and that's where it's all started.
While the drivers are bringing their machines into the starting area, we'll take a quick time out. When we come back, we'll have the best action from stock qualifying. Don't go away. Welcome back to the 15th Annual World Championship Snowmobile Hill Climb from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. We're joined in the broadcast booth now by Norris Brown, one of the top riders in today's event. First thing, Norris, let's take a look at some of the highlights in stock qualifying. And this is Kirk Hibbert going over the first cat track. Norris Brown, tell me what it's like right there at that first one.
Right there, your time has just started on the first cat track, and you're just concentrating on finding a fine line to get up higher.
This is pretty much the place where a lot of these machines start to bog down. Is it power?
At this point in time, when you have a straight line like that, it's all power.
Brent Cheney's the next rider. Tell me what kind of machine this is.
This here is a Polaris. Brent's from Pinedale and been riding for many years. He's primarily started to concentrate most of his efforts in the stock class this year.
Look at the way he bounces around there. What's he doing?
He's just trying to get as much traction as possible. Every inch counts right now in the stock class.
And it doesn't look like he's going to get much more than right there, no matter how much he bounces. Kirk Hibbert again. Now, what's the difference in this stock?
This stock class here would be a B stock, I believe he's running. And he's just trying a little different line than Cheney did the first time.
In other words, he planned to go over there.
Somewhat.
Not quite that deep, perhaps. And this rider, Jason Adams, comes from Colstrip, Montana. What's the riding like up there?
Montana, he's got a lot of riding up in the mountains up in Montana. He helps put on another hill climb in Sheridan, Wyoming, a week and a half or so after this hill climb.
Now, once that clock starts, Norris Brown, how many of these stock machines ultimately make it to the top? Obviously, Jason is not going to. What's going through his mind right now?
Lack of traction to be able to stop and miss the net right now. That net was put up there a few years ago to do exactly that, try and slow him down, give the hill help a chance to grab it. I hope.
Now, this is somebody's paycheck rolling down the hill right now. How much? We just saw that fly up in the air. How much is that going to cost?
Well, that hood's another $500, and hopefully that's his own machine and not his wife's.
Luckily, no one was hurt in that spill. Like many drivers, Kim Ropoletto is competing in both stock and modified classes this weekend. In fact, he's one of the favorites in both classes.
Open stock, anything goes as long as it remains stock. This here is a 650 Indy Polaris. Kim also rides a couple modified classes. He dominates this open stock class consistently.
Okay, Vern Neem is out of Wellsville, Utah. A lot of these Utah riders are really good. What's this? Is it the snow over there?
It's the competition between them. They get together weekend after weekend and have their own little get-together. And friends as they are, competition is tough between them. And it shows when they come to the World Championship.
Still, it doesn't appear that he's going to make it as high as the second cat track. This is a tough area right here, isn't it?
The snow is getting real loose.
Later in the program, we'll show you the winning run for King of the Mountain in stock. But stay with us. When we return, the big mods hit the hill.
It's not the money. You can wreck $2,000, $3,000 worth of stuff, you know, in one run. You'll be back.
It's the fun, huh?
It's the fun and it's the challenge.
From 1975 to 1986, the mountain was king. No man or machine had ever made it to the top. But on a chilly morning in 1986, a young man from Belgrade, Montana made history. Ward Barnes became the first driver ever to make it all the way to the top of Snow King Mountain.
Oh, it was real exciting. Got up there, picked a good line up, and just went over the top. Picked a good line and made it.
Since 1986, both the drivers and their machines have gotten tougher. Many more have made it to the top now, but Ward Barnes doesn't think it's gotten any easier.
Oh, it's getting harder, getting rougher. This year there ain't as much snow, you know, and it's a lot of rocks and stumps up there. It's pretty hard.
Ward Barnes is competing in 2 classes this year, Mod 3 and Open Mod. He'll certainly be one of the drivers to watch out for. Now keep in mind that there are 4 modified classes running here. Mods 1, 2, and 3 are smaller machines and have limits on power and size. Open Mod is the no-holds-barred class. It's where the overall King of the Mountain winner usually comes from. On this, the first of 3 days of racing, we'll see the qualifying runs of both Mod 1 and Mod 3. A little bit later in the program, we'll get to the Open Mod qualifying runs and the final showdown for King of the Mountain. It looks like they're ready to go down at the starting area. Let's see some action. And here's the first of the big monster sleds, Chris Lockwood out of New Mexico. Now this is Mod 1. What differentiates that from the big guys?
This here is the smallest of the mod classes. CCs go from 0 to 410 CCs. They probably have anywhere from 80 to 110 horsepower.
Already we're able to see that Chris has a whole lot more power as he approaches that first cat track and heads toward the second. What has he done to make his sled different than the stock ones we saw?
Well, you can tell they've taken the hood off to accommodate the expansion chambers and pipes. A lot of times they put a longer track on it and move the chain case back. They've stripped a lot of the excess weight off as well, all the cosmetics, the tack and the large fuel tank.
And Chris Lockwood is still going, but it looks as though he's going to bog down right there. Does he have any more power? No, that's about all she wrote. Now, what happened to him there? Why didn't he make it?
He should have just dug a hole and waited for the hill help to come out and get him. He just was trying for a little bit more distance up the mountain, and he's paying the consequences now.
Does he have any brakes there?
He has brakes, but with the snowmobile coming down with that hard snow like that, it's hard to stop.
All right, here's Tom Roby. This is the Mod 3 class. Tom is one of the local boys out of Jackson Hole.
Tom does a lot of cross-country snowmobile racing, and he's hill climbed for 2-3 years now, and he's always a good contender.
You've probably noticed the men standing along the sides of the course. They're the hill help, and they have the toughest job out here. Once a driver falls or gets stuck, they must use their bodies to prevent a potentially dangerous runaway sled. We asked one of these modern-day wranglers what he would do if a runaway snowmobile was coming at him.
Let them go. If they're rolling, you can't stop them. Wait for them to hesitate a little bit. You can get a hold of them. You know, enough guys are there. So you got 60-some-odd hill helpers here. You get enough guys on them, you can hold them.
That one went right around the net, but luckily it looks like it stopped at the first cat track there. Beautiful view overlooking Jackson Hole, Wyoming, as our next rider, Trayson Howells, out of Manhattan, Montana, approaches the first cat track. He's already starting to dance around before he hits the tough stuff. Norris?
Well, you're just trying to get your rhythm started when you cross that first cat track. That's where the time starts. And with these bigger mod sleds, time is going to matter because there's a bunch of guys that all want to go to the top faster than the other guy.
Traction plays such an important part of this. You can see the rooster tail he's kicking up. What might he have developing that traction on his on the belt?
He's on the track. He's probably got a bunch of either aluminum or plastic paddles that have been bolted to the track for traction.
And that's all she wrote for Trayson Howells and his Yamaha. Here comes David Shepard, also of Class 3 in the Modified.
Yeah, the Mod 3 is a premier class in that it usually has the most entries, thus having the biggest purse, and this sled has got enough power to be a real contender for the King of the Hill title at the end of the day.
This looks like it takes a lot of upper body strength to make it up the hill with that.
There's surprisingly a lot of these guys do race motocross or have background in motorcycle or snowmobile racing of other types.
And perhaps one of the strongest riders out there is certainly Kim Repolletto. We see him as he passes the first cat track, headed for the second. It looks like a good, strong ride. What's he doing here?
Kim is getting a real good feel of the sled through the moguls right now. You can see just how smooth he stays riding the sled. He's from Utah, and he competes with the boys down there all the time, and he's always a tough guy to beat. If Kim's riding hard, he's tough to beat.
And you can see that Kim rides a Polaris, although these machines don't look much like their stock counterparts, do they?
No, a lot of manufacturers would like to see some of them look a little more like production snowmobile, but we can't find any production snowmobiles that do exactly what we want for hill climbing.
And what we want is exactly what we saw there, up and over the top. Okay, Norris Brown, the pressure's on. Here you come toward the first cat track. Now, this would have been Friday's ride. Things are still fresh.
If you draw real early and you've got all these guys behind you, you don't know what you've got to do to win or to qualify. So you've got to go as fast as you can and hope that what you do holds up through the rest of the field. And that's what basically is on your mind. It's just how long can you hold the hammer on before, I call it a bonsai run, but, just hopefully everything clicks. If you're balanced, you can tell most drivers right after the first catwalk, within the first couple, 300-400 feet, if they've got it together and if they'll make a good run.
Bonsai ride indeed. But you're getting pretty far up the hill here. Okay, now, all through the weekend, these boys are going to be on your tail. This is half of the Williamson brothers. Kirk, what's he riding?
Kirk's riding a Skidoo.
Okay, another one of these Utah riders. Again, they are very strong over there in the Cache Valley.
Yeah, they've probably produced more King of the Mountain riders out of the Cache Valley area than anybody else. The only other one that really has dominated consistently has been David Shepard.
That's all she wrote for Kirk Williamson on this ride.
You can see the stumps that he got tangled up in there, how high they're sticking out because of the lack of snow this year.
When you hit one of those cat tracks with the rocks and stuff, what's that feel like?
Oh, it's kind of a scary feeling, you kind of jump over it and don't know you went over it, really. It happens fast, you just go over it and you're gone.
Still going strong as he approaches the third cat track, Ward Barnes. And that's about all she wrote for Ward. Okay, here's the other half of the Williamson boys. Donnie, tell me about him. Pretty good rider.
Donnie bench presses more weight in training than anybody else. He takes this sport seriously, and if you've ever had to compete against him, you know he's a real bull.
I felt that's probably the biggest thrill as far as sporting events go that I've ever had. That's pretty wild. You're out of breath, and it's just like, oh, I finally made it.
And it's thrilling to watch Donnie Williamson at work. Look at the way he manhandles that machine as he approaches the top of the mountain.
Well, that's the end of qualifying in Mod 1 and Mod 3 classes. Remember, the top 10 riders in each class qualify for the finals. Here are the top qualifiers so far. In Mod 1, Chris Checketts is first, Marlon Weeks second, and Mark Thompson is third. In Mod 3, Norris Brown first, Kim Repolletto second, and Dee Eggett is in third. Stay with us when we return Mod 2 and Open Mod qualifying.
time was the best time, and we're downhill from there. Like a snowball headed straight for hell with you in the driver's chair.
After the first tough day of qualifying, many of the drivers hit the town of Jackson for a little unwinding, Jackson Hole style. Their favorite spot? The famous $1 Million Cowboy Bar, of course.
If you were there and started to cut back across, you might be able to do that.
But once the sun comes up, it's time to get serious about snowmobiling again. On slate today are more qualifying runs with Mod 2 and Open Mod on deck.
Here comes Donnie Williamson again toward the first cat track. Norris, he's conquered this hill before, hasn't he?
Yeah, in '88, Donnie was having a good year, and he became king that year.
When you look down the list of all the winners of the past, I don't see any repeats.
Bill Townsend repeated once, and that's been quite a few years ago. Since then, the competition has gotten real fast and furious.
If you think this sport is tough on the drivers, you ought to see their wives and families. Donnie's wife looks like she's not completely used to the idea of him racing up this mountain.
When you see some of the crashes, you can understand the look on Donnie's wife's face. Right here at the finish line, though, I bet she's got a different look.
Come on, Kim! Go, Kim!
We're on TV kissing.
And here comes Ward Barnes for that first cat track. Where are his eyes pointed right now?
Right now, he just passed the timer, and he's just trying to find the smoothest line that he can ride through the bumps. You can see right there where he's bouncing around. If he can stay smooth, he's going to be fast.
Norris Brown, give me some percentages here. How much of it is strategy? How much of it is sheer muscle attacking the mountain?
You've got to have a lot of experience on a snowmobile to even attempt Snow King Mountain. It just comes from time and experience.
As we approach here, you see there in the front one of the stumps. How badly can they hurt you if you hit them?
Well, them things are cut off, and on the pitch of that mountain, the way it's set, some of the faces of them stumps and rocks are about 18 inches out of the ground.
Ooh. When you go down hard like that, are you feeling any pain?
You're disappointed.
Joe Burney does most of his riding up near home in Okanagan, Washington. What kind of competitor is he, Norris?
Joe is the type of competitor that the hill climb's built around. Joe has come to the hill climb in Jackson for 2 or 3 years, and finally this year is his first attempt at climbing the mountain. He's a real competitor up there. He does a lot of grass drag racing in the summertime as well as the winter. He helps put on the Washington State Snowmobile Hill Climb Championships, which they've had going for, I believe, 3 or 4 years now.
Well, he's working against the clock at this point, and that's about all she wrote. He's going to come back down the mountain backwards, it looks like. And on to Kelly Parkinson now from Hiram, Utah. Tell me about the armor they're wearing as they hit this first cat track.
The shin guards and the chest protector and the full-face helmet are all mandatory by the Jacksonville Snow Devils for safety and insurance reasons.
And you can see why they need it, as Kelly is thrown unceremoniously off his machine. We continue Mod 2 qualifying with Wellsville, Utah rider Vern Nem. How long does it take from the very bottom to the very top if you're so lucky to make it, Norris?
Well, that's a hard question to answer because the time doesn't start until the first cat track, and you have any amount of time you want to take as long as you maintain forward motion to get to the first catwalk, to get to feel your sled, make sure it's running good. From the first catwalk to the top, 50, 60 seconds is a good time.
Vern Nem was the last driver in the Mod 2 qualifying runs. Now it's time for the big guys, Open Mod. There are over 50 drivers competing for just 10 slots in tomorrow's finals. This will be a fierce race with the drivers going all out to qualify. If you don't have a good run now, you're out of business until next year.
Go fast without crashing.
1986 King of the Mountain Chris Checketts attempting a run now. On his first run today, he had a pink smoke bomb on the end of it.
Yeah, Chris likes to joke around. He's a good competitor, always has a good attitude. You can see here, him and his dad have built this ultra-long snowmobile for basically going up anything. They're part of the Utah collage of riders that compete against themselves weekend after weekend, just in preparation for coming to Jackson. As long as he stays straight, most of that length will work out for him. But,
well, it looked like he was staying straight until he tried to go through a mogul.
Joe Gilmore's machine is a lot shorter than Chris Checketts. What's the advantage? He would be able to turn better?
Yeah, it's a gamble a lot of times when you come to different competitions, depending on who the race director is and how he sets up. A longer one is better for deeper snow and straighter conditions. A shorter one is better for a lot of turns, kind of like a slalom course.
Joe rides something he calls a Yamaleris. Tell me about it.
Everybody's got to list a make of snowmobile when you do register. Joe's probably running a lot of Yamaha parts and a lot of Polaris parts.
When these guys get out to attack a hill on any given day, what's the optimum snow depth?
There is really none. A lot of guys have geared for powder riding, which the Utah riders are real good at. The harder snow conditions, more favorable for some of the people that are up in Montana.
In the open mod class, take a look at Darren Gould in shirt sleeves as he comes across the first catwalk. Right there, they started a stopwatch on him. That hasn't always been the case, has it?
No, up until when Lord Barnes conquered the mountain in '86, nobody had been conquering the mountain, so usually the highest mark on the mountain was a decisive factor of who won.
So suddenly there's two things on your mind, not just surviving and getting over the bumps and making your way inch by inch to the top. Suddenly you've got to worry about a clock ticking while you're doing it.
The time is what's made it a real spectator sport now, because everything is done fast, and big crashes and speed turn people on.
Kim Ropoletto wasn't so lucky. He's got the heat of the afternoon. This Millville, Utah rider looks as though he's got a strong run going so far. What appears to be his strategy, Norris?
Kim's just trying to stay smooth, and the smoother you're going to stay, the faster you're going to be, and you just seem like you can always control your snowmobile. Kim just basically can't do anything wrong during this ride.
It does seem to have lots of power there. This part of the hill particularly tough?
Right now he's coming on the third cat track and is real steep. He's got to maintain his momentum. If you lose the momentum when it gets warm like this, you're going to dig a hole and be stuck.
If you had to pick one spot on this mountain that's the toughest, where would it be?
It's the third cat track. That's a rock face under there that's just covered with a little bit of snow.
On to Kirk Williamson now. He too is riding one of those longer sleds. There must be some strategy to that.
Basically, the longer sled's going to give you more traction, and thus you can go slower and pick a smoother line.
Tell me, when you compete, who's your toughest competition?
My toughest competition is probably my brother.
And we've seen that played out time and time again today, this brotherly competition, making for some good riding and some good spectator sport.
Yeah, Kirk's got a smooth line going right now. If he keeps this up, he'll go over and probably have a pretty good time.
Again, this tough part of the mountain, although the snow is the best right in here, it would seem.
The snow at the top, there's various lines, and no one is getting overused, and so it's maintaining a pretty good crust.
If he wins, I don't feel bad. Brothers got to stick together.
You get a good view here of just how steep this mountain is, with Jackson Hole in the background, with Mark Thompson, the defending champ, starting what appears to be a good, smooth run in the easy early parts.
Yeah, again, the time is not on your mind until right there. And now is when he's got to concentrate on finding a fast line to the top of the mountain.
These guys are such competitors. How heavily is it probably playing on his mind that he is the defending champ? How nice it would be to take it home twice.
Well, Mark is a tough competitor all the time. He beat me last year by 4 seconds, and he knows he's got to beat somebody else by a few seconds to maintain being qualified for the finals on Sunday.
Even though his face is hidden behind the gladiator gear, you can see the intensity in just his posture as he gets to the higher parts of this mountain.
Yeah, Mark just went over the third catwalk, and things are getting tough there. Most of the time after the third cat track, if you stay on it, you're going to get to the top.
How much danger is involved?
There hasn't been anybody really hurt while riding a snowmobile. We've had a few spectators get hurt just through hitting a tree, sliding down the mountain, but not snowmobile related.
I think the rocks and stumps this year were worse than they have been in the past. I was a little bit cautious over them.
With the qualifying runs out of the way, it's down to 10 riders in each class. When we return, we'll bring you the finals of the 15th Annual World Championship Snowmobile Hill Climb. Stay with us. This is it, the final day of the hill climb. For the past 2 days, drivers have been struggling to qualify for a shot at the finals. Today, there are 40 stock drivers and 40 mod drivers left. At the end of the day, there'll be just 2, a king of the mountain in stock and a king of the mountain in mod. We talked to some of the top drivers about their strategy today.
Today it'll be fast, a lot of speed today. It'll depend on a lot on driver ability and maintaining control at that kind of speed.
Are you running early or late today?
I've got early draws.
You figure that's going to help you?
Oh, I always prefer to run last, and you know what you have to do. But maybe I can put some pressure on the other guys.
To the spectator, it looks inherently dangerous. Is that in your mind as you're going up?
It used to be, and that's what bothers me more than anything, because it doesn't bother me anymore.
The course today will be extremely difficult. Over the last 2 days, the snow has gotten quite thin at the catwalks. Today, drivers face exposed dirt, rocks, even tree stumps.
This is the first catwalk, the first place where the mountain really gets tough. From here on out, the climb gets hard, and the driver and the machine get a workout.
The catwalks are real tough. You have to be able to let out of them and slow your momentum up and then get back on them to get through the other side. I've tried to jump them, and that's virtually impossible.
So as we begin the finals of the 15th Annual World Championship Snowmobile Hill Climb, let's check the standings. In Mod 1 qualifying, Chris Checketts qualified in first place, Marlon Weeks second, and Mark Thompson is third. In Mod 2, Rod Cunin is first, Marlon Weeks second, and David Shepard third. In Mod 3, Norris Brown is the leader, Kim Ropoletto is second, and Dee Eggett third. And in Open Mod, Darren Gould is first, Kirk Williamson is second, and Rick Ward is third. We'll show you the winner of King of the Mountain in stock later. Right now it's time for the big boys, the finals of the modified sleds.
And the first rider in Mod 1 is Mark Thompson. We've had 3 days of riding now. This is the third day, Norris Brown. They've got to be hurting.
Everybody's a little tired just from getting their adrenaline pumped up for the last 2 days, but that's what it was all about, is to get to qualify and run in the finals now. Mark's doing a good job on his Mod 1 ride. He's still got another shot a little bit later. He qualified in the open class.
Okay, he came up clear out of the snow there. What went wrong?
Just bad line, bad hole. You can see some stumps starting to show at the top there.
There's a good shot of the lower portion of the mountain, Norris. What's happening during these first 200-300 yards?
Okay, about 50 yards out of the bottom, there's a place called the point of no return. Once you take off the bottom, you've got until that point, make sure your sled's running good, you don't blow belt or spark plug's not fouled. Until you get to that, you can turn around and start over. They give you 5 minutes to get your sled going. If you pass the point of no return, you're committed to get to the top of the mountain if you can.
14 years Scotty Albertson's been riding these kind of machines up mountains. How's he look to you today?
Scotty's looking a little out of control right here. Scotty was a king in '85.
He's looking a lot out of control right here. There goes another sled back down the mountain, and it's picking up speed.
You can hear the track humming as it bounces down through the moguls. Hopefully the catch net will do its job.
A lot of them appear as they've gone down to get in that gully right there.
That's why the net was put there a couple years ago. They all seek that lower point.
Back to the action now. Kirk Williamson working his way up the hill. Now, Kirk is already in the money, is that right?
Kurt right now is in the top 10 of this class. There's only money paid out depending on Mod 1, for instance, pays 5 places. He probably, if he was to win this class, he could say walk away with $700, $800. Mod 3 and open classes with more entries, a lot more money.
So you can get rich not even being king of the hill.
This is true. Everybody in their own right stands to win their class, win a beautiful belt buckle, and then it's an added bonus to go for king of the hill after you've already dominated your class.
Norris Brown, we're going to let you go for your run now. Tell me your strategy real quick before you leave.
Try and stay smooth, and if I can stay smooth, I should be able to go fast.
True to his word, Norris Brown starts a smooth ride up across cat track number 1. Norris has always been a favorite at this event, a local boy from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. He's running a Ski-Doo. Now, this is Mod 1, the smaller engines, and you can hear they're using every bit of the power available to make it up over some of these moguls. Norris has had a great deal of success in Mod 1 over the years, qualified all of the last 3 years in Mod 1, and won the title in '87 and '89. But that's as far as he's going up the mountain today, as he bogged down in some of that heavier snow.
That wraps up Mod 1. Taking first place is Mark Thompson of Providence, Utah. In second place, Kirk Williamson, also of Providence, Utah. And in third place, Norris Brown of Jackson, Wyoming. Here we go with Mod 2 now. First up, Donnie Williamson, Kirk's older brother.
Norris, you know what a bovine pedicurist is?
I've heard it once in a studio somewhere.
It's a cow toenail trimmer. That's what Donnie Williamson does during the off-season, but right now he's attacking the mountain here in Jackson Hole.
The mountain's sure getting rough right now. Mod 2 riders, we haven't had anybody yet go over the top today.
Sometimes it looks like he's riding a bull instead of a sled. Maybe Vern Nem can make it a little higher than Donnie Williamson just did. He's starting out strong.
Vern has really dominated the Mod 2 class over the last couple years. He is real hard to beat in Mod 2. The Mod 2 class is 411 cc's to 500 cc's. A lot more horsepower can be achieved just by going from Mod 1 to Mod 2.
It's easy to tell just by the speed as these guys go by. They can even pick up some of the pylons and keep going.
Well, here we are, 1:30 or so in the afternoon, and you're the king of the hill at this point. How do you feel?
Hammered. Wow, it's higher than what you can imagine. Trying to get through that stuff. There's moguls that are, holes in them moguls that are 10, 15 feet deep.
Those same moguls are what Marlon Weeks is going to attempt to get over as he tries to follow Vern Nem to the top in Mod 2.
Marlon's from Jackson, Wyoming, and he's been doing a real good job this year riding. He's had a good weekend so far.
How much is where you're from? How much does that count? And how much terrain you have to work out on?
In the World Championship hill climb, you get one shot per class, and you just can't screw up. And I don't think being from any particular part of the country, practicing here or there, makes a difference. A lot of psychological stuff plays on my part, just having a look at the mountain day after day all summer. David Shepard's from Jackson, Montana. He's got a lot of good country to practice, and he's always tough when he comes to Jackson.
He looks like he's got a time right now that could easily beat or at least tie Vern Nem if he can just make it over that top.
David's got a good run going. It's getting real chewed up. It's pretty soft right now, and the ruts are going all the way to the ground.
We'd heard Donnie Williamson mention earlier that there's an advantage in going late. It may not be.
Well, it's real rough today. Usually they open up the right-hand side of the trail for us on Sunday, but this year Bill must have decided to make her tough. And it's real deep ruts, and they'll throw you over and all.
So at the conclusion of the Mod 2 finals, Vern Nem of Wellsville, Utah, riding an '89 Polaris, takes first place. David Shepard of Jackson, Montana is in second. And Marlon Weeks of Jackson, Wyoming is third. Now, on to Mod 3. These are big machines making their way up the mountain now. Norris, just how big are they?
Well, the Mod 3 class is 501 to 660 cc's. Some of these sleds will be anywhere from 130 to 150 horsepower. Dee Eggett here has a custom one. You can see lots of chrome on it. The clutch cover, which has got to be completely enclosed, has got a beautiful airbrush design on it that he had done. It's probably one of the most detailed snow machines in the pits.
I'd have to consider Dee a pretty optimistic guy, though, considering how much damage is done to the ones that fall back down the hill.
Dee's taken that sled over the top a number of times. That sled was probably 2-3 years old.
And he made it today. Here comes Joe Gilmore.
Joe's from Evanston, does a lot on the drag racing circuit down there. He rides a lot with Scotty Albertson. They come to Jackson every year, and they're always one of them are in the finals for Sunday's event.
Is this grass drag racing good training for this?
Not really. It's something I think to do when you're in Wyoming in the summertime.
Well, it looks like what you do in the wintertime is head to the top of the mountain, and Joe Gilmore is doing a good job of that right now.
Joe's got a good time going. If he keeps this up, he should be in the money.
That last bump right before the top, how tough is it?
It's real tough. There's a pylon that supports that last chairlift tower, and it's painted so the drivers will stay to the left of it, and it's got a lot to do with how far you want to favor that side.
Kim Ropoletto's been tough all day, and looks as though he's got another strong run going here in the finals of Mod 3.
Kim's getting to be no stranger at the top part of the mountain now. He's been up there a number of times all weekend, and he's starting to see how fast he can start to conquer it.
And today he seems to be conquering it very tough. Almost got thrown off there, but he rebounded and heads for the top. With all these other sleds sitting up here, it's a drag race at this point. How do you feel your time went?
I really had, it's hard. It's really hard to say. It felt really good, but these other guys was really fast too, so. And there's a bunch more to come. So, it's, you don't know.
Ward Barnes is one of those riders following Kim Ropoletto up the mountain. Doesn't look like he has quite the speed the earlier riders did.
No, the day's gotten warm and the ruts are getting deeper. He's having a hard time maintaining any momentum. You start to dog from left to right like he's doing. It's hard to get a straight line picked out again.
Would this be one of those times to pick a new course?
Yeah, if he could have done so a little sooner. He's at the third catwalk where it's real steep now, and you can't change your direction at that point in time.
At the end of the Mod 3 finals, we have Kim Ropoletto of Millville, Utah in first place, Dee Eggett of Bountiful, Utah is in second, and Joe Gilmore of Evanston, Wyoming is in third. We'll return with the finals for Open Mod and the race for King of the Mountain when we return. The Open Mod Finals. This is where the best drivers and the biggest machines get to show their stuff. And this is where the crowd gets to see some of the most spectacular action. The first two riders up the mountain will be the brothers from Providence, Utah, Donnie and Kirk Williamson.
Well, there's probably about 4 or 5 people I have to beat. There's Kim Ropoletto, David Shepard, Mark Thompson, Joe Gilmore, and my brother Kirk.
Norris Brown, I noticed he didn't mention your name in there. Has he got you figured as a lightweight?
Oh, I hope not. Him and I go back a long way. I think he's just got the jitters, and maybe he's just a little nervous and forgot about me.
As he's making his way up the hill here, tell me a little bit about his machine.
Donnie's probably running one of the highest horsepower motors in the event. It's from back east from Decker Enterprises, and they helped him set it up, and he's got a lot of money in that motor, but it's a one-class motor. It's got I believe it's a 700 and some odd cc's. We call it an 800.
And it's not going to make it in this class as Donnie rides it almost as quickly back down the hill. Look out! Right on Donnie's tail is brother Kirk Williamson. How's his machine differ, Norris?
Kirk here is pretty much a privateer. He does everything himself. His brother has a little help from some of the bigger factory people back east, but anything Kirk gets done, he's done on his own.
Well, he's going to have to make it up to the mountain on his own today, and the conditions are not right for him.
You see Donnie there coming out to talk to him.
And right on the heels of Kirk Williamson's failed run is Mark Thompson, who's been tough all day.
Mark's running a 660 Skidoo motor, which he won last year with his same chassis and motor. And it's a fast snow machine.
How many years of good service can you get out of one of these motors?
Well, it's basically like a rodeo. I mean, a Bronco can just sit dormant and just get used for 15 or 20 seconds every once in a while. Hill climbers the same way. It's just going to sit in his garage till next year.
And in this case, go over the top of the mountain. Judging by the speed you had coming over that last bump, you got to feel pretty good about your time.
I feel good. That's the best I can do.
Here comes Sid Zollinger. You know, there's hardly any white left in that snow.
Sid, he's coming back from a pulled hamstring suffered up in Washington at the Washington State Hill Climb Championship up there. And Sid is a real tough competitor. We're real glad to have him competing this year, even though he's not 100%.
From day to day, they move the flags, move the course. Is it one course tougher than the next?
It just varies. They always like to run you over the third catwalk. It's the steepest part. And Bill loves to make it tough. He was king before, and he likes to make it the toughest he can on anybody.
Bad luck for Sid Zollinger, but here comes Darren Gould, and he's got a head of steam.
Darren has been running that circuit of cross-country races over in Idaho, and he's been tough this year.
That head of steam gave out real quickly there, right after the first catwalk, which makes way again for Kim Ropoletto.
Kim can't do nothing wrong this weekend, it looks like.
Is his machine got more power than Donnie's, or less?
It's a smaller CC sled, but that enables him to ride it in Mod 3 and in the open class, which is an advantage, I think, to being able to ride the same sled twice, up the same mountain, and probably the same course, and thus just get faster.
And as we've seen from or Kim already this afternoon, he's got enough power, even though it's smaller, to make it to the top, and it looks like he's going to do it again. Oh, just short.
The big hole got him again. It's getting rough right there by the timer.
The first place winner in open mod is Mark Thompson, last year's King of the Mountain. Finishing second is Kim Ropoletto, who had the unfortunate fall just below the top of the hill. And Sid Zollinger finishes third. Now, to name the overall King of the Mountain, winners of each class of stock and modified sled will compete in a runoff. The winners of those races in stock and mod will be named king. When we return, you'll see the run for the money. The race for King of the Mountain in stock came down to 4 men: Jim Adams, Craig Green, Vern Nem, and Kirk Hibbert. Here's Kirk Hibbert's winning run for King of the Mountain in stock.
What's the difference in these machines, basically, Norris?
Everything. This is the way it comes off the showroom floor. This sled now has got to go back down and be torn down and meet the specifications given to hired technicians in the pits.
So Kirk Hibbert is the stock King of the Mountain. Congratulations, Kirk. Now it's time to decide who'll be the king of the mods. First up, Kim Ropoletto.
It is amazing to see the difference in speed as they whip around that ski lift pole there.
Kim has got time on his mind now. He's got to put everything that he's worked all weekend for and just hammer down and try and get to the top fast.
You have to wonder at this point how many runs the human body can endure in any given day.
It's a workout, but I think most of it is the adrenaline that you get pumping.
Okay, here we are around the third cat track. You can see how steep that mountain is, but it doesn't slow Kim Ropoletto down one little bit.
Right now is everything he's wished for all year long. If he can put a good run through the top there, he'll start to sleep at night, I think.
He makes it look easy.
Okay, this is the big stuff now. How was it?
Rough, really rough. A lot of stumps, sticks, ice. Got to have a lot of momentum. I was tearing everything off the tracks, you can see, but it worked good. My guys set it up really good.
Once again, Kim Ropoletto over the top, followed by cheese broker Mark Thompson.
Yeah, Mark sells cheese down in Utah in the off-season, and right now he's on his King of the Hill run for the Mod 1 class.
The mountain's starting to look like Swiss cheese after the heat and all the runs during the day, and his hopes are pretty much gone for this class.
Yeah, you could see right there the difference in horsepower. This being a Mod 1 class, that he earned the right to go for king.
Oh, that adds insult to injury too, Norris. He's got one more run left today, and his machine is taking a beating.
He's got a different sled now. This was his little 340. He's still got his 660.
Here's Vern Nem's attempt to be king of the mountain. Here's that tough spot.
Vern Nem in his Mod 2 class win. His sled is always running good. Vern puts a good run together here.
We've seen that part of the mountain chew up so many different people.
Nope. He got down to the stumps again.
This is the last run of the day. Mark Thompson's the last rider to have a chance to beat Kim Ropoletto. He's got a good time going, but he's got to be tired by now.
I don't think tired's going to affect him now. He's pumped up. He just came over that second catwalk that gave him a tough time in his first run. He's got the bigger sled now. He's got a lot more horsepower, and he's looking fast.
He is flying as he reaches the third catwalk. He's got to see the top by now.
He's got the top in his sights, and I'm sure he's just grabbing a whole handful of throttle.
Oh! And right there ends any hopes of Mark Thompson's in 1990. Kim Ropoletto, riding a 1986 Polaris from Millville, Utah, is the king of the mountain. Let's take a look at that crash one more time. This is what ended the hopes of Mark Thompson this afternoon.
That crash right there cost Mark about the title and about $6,000 in prize money and contingencies.
A tough break, but there's always next year. Kim Ropoletto's got to be feeling happy right now.
Yep. You see my dad coming down to grab Mark's sled. He's been working up the top all day.
What did you have that those other guys didn't have?
Really nothing. We all basically run the same stuff. It's just a matter of traction, setup, and a lot of luck on that hill.
Luck, skill, and a powerful snowmobile make Kim Ropoletto the king of the mountain. That's it for the 15th Annual World Championship Snowmobile Hill Climb from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. For Norris Brown, I'm Laura Nancaro. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Air transportation to Jackson Hole provided by Delta Airlines.